Festival
We're here.
energy.
We are at a festival.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
All I wanted, my plan from April to June was I wanted to just do live shows. That was all I wanted to do this year.
I wasn't privy to that. I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was our collective goal. Or did you want to do live shows alone?
Oh my God! Yeah. You're completely fired from the live shows. Of course. No,
I'm
I
more
just
of an indoor talent.
I truly, my only plan this year was to go to Las Vegas, eat at a buffet, and do live shows. And those are all super good COVID plans, I think,
I was
is
like,
the important thing.
Did you also want to just like shake a bunch of hands, lick a bunch of doorknobs, and go to Sturgis?
Yep. High fives and Frenchin. That was my list for 2020. That's all I was planning on doing for real.
Wow.
So I've accomplished 0 goals.
I'm glad for your health and well-being. I'm glad that you didn't accomplish those goals.
I know. I guess I could still do it. You know, it's not too late.
Look, people are doing wild stuff out here. Speaking of wild, how about this virtual
We are at a
festival?
comedy festival.
Right?
I am loving it. We're having
Me
so
too.
much fun. Festival. I think we're at an interesting time because normally when we do festivals, I feel like we get hyped on energy like one night, and then I'm often, hungover and sleepy, which I guess is the same as normal Andrew.
We
But-
both are. We go very hard. I feel like my history of touring in bands means that you go hard nearly every night, and it's just different when you're talking into a microphone and you're trying to be, thoughtful about what you're saying. Like doing our show and touring it like how I would tour a band is a direct detriment to my health and well-being. It's very bad for me, and I feel like our second show out of any touring weekend is always a little like. Right.
Woo.
So
Well-
this is good. Pygmalion Fest has figured out a way to keep us safe, to save us from ourselves, really.
I'm going to tell you this. I still went ahead and got slightly too drunk last night, so I was hungover this morning.
There's no helping him.
No, I just wanted to have that. This is the festival Andrew experience. Normally, if you're a podcast listener, you get someone who's, fresh. We record on a weekday, so I'm usually not too, fucked up. But, I just so you guys get the actual festival Andrew experience, I crushed like 3 beers at 6:45 yesterday and then just had rum for no good reason. No, there's more. And then this morning, to get the full waking up in a college town in Illinois experience,
Yeah.
I ordered a breakfast burrito with kielbasa. By accident, but that's how it arrived. So I've basically eaten like 5 hot dogs.
Wow,
today.
man. I can't say I'm jealous, but you really did it. You really went for a theme. Like, I am proud of you for going for a theme. I feel like I should have done more things to get into the festival energy. Like, I definitely should have, especially this being in Illinois, where I spent a huge chunk of my life up in Chicago. Anytime I come back to Illinois, I always reconnect with someone that I was, like, insanely close friends with for a period of 18 months because we worked at the same, catering company or the same bar mitzvah dancer troupe or any of these weird other odd jobs I had. And I reconnect with them. We hang out for like a solid 2 hours. We have a great meal. We get drinks. And then I'm kind of like, we're different people now, and I've run out of things to say to you, and I feel uncomfortable. So I didn't do that. Because I'm currently in Atlanta, and I don't have any of those types of friends here. So I need to find a fake festival friend for Atlanta.
Ooh, yeah. Well, maybe. So what we'll just do is like in the next 2 days, we'll just just start sending tweets and random calls to the various people we know on this festival, and it'll feel like the same thing. Just hey, what's up? We're at the same festival because we're all at it right now.
We're all here. The one thing that we didn't get to do was accidentally send a very demanding rider. You remember the few times we've done that? Like, so what happens with these things, guys? Sorry, a little peek behind the curtain. is that our lovely agent and all the people in charge of like booking these cool festivals, sometimes they are used to booking bands or frankly just people who are way more famous and popular than us. And so sometimes at a big festival, they will ask like, what is your dream snack? What beverages do you want backstage? What beverages do you want on stage? Like they'll give a laundry list of wants. So then you fill them out because you're like, sure, they're offering me stuff. I'll ask for stuff. So then that goes into a document. And then when you go to the next festival and they're not asking you for those things, sometimes we send it because we're like, well, here's our hospitality writer. And then we get there and we look insane because there's like cases of water marked for only us and like vats of hummus that we've specifically requested, whereas everyone else is just eating Doritos and like drinking PBR.
Being normal.
And then we feel terrible because we're like weird, you know, I don't know, I feel like we both have that Midwestern kind of sad uncomfortableness where we're like, sorry, does anyone want all of these snap peas? I didn't mean to ask for all this.
Well, I will say even more, I think we get hit doubly with the Midwest stuff because I feel like when our agent is like, hey, what do you guys want backstage? I'm like, I need to ask for enough stuff so he's not disappointed in what we're asking for. And then when we get there, I feel apologetic. The one that sticks out to me is
not disappointed. Why would he care?
I just want our agent to think that we're adults. Honestly,
that is a great point.
I just don't want to have anyone who works with me or sees me ever to not know that in reality I'm just a little baby boy, because I'm just like, you're supposed to ask for stuff, right? If I don't ask for stuff, I don't respect myself, and that's how we end up with like breakfast wine. Which has happened many times, or like bottles, like a case of water in a fridge where everyone else is acting normal, but this water has our names on it and do not touch. And it's like, oh God, we are
so embarrassing.
Yeah, we are true assholes.
We're true Hollywood elites. We're so sorry.
This is even compared to other actual Hollywood elites. We're never the biggest name of the festival, and multiple times there has been like, this is for you, this racist, don't touch. And it's like, I don't know, we just filled it out because that's what we thought we were supposed to do.
Well, I like that we've gotten to the bottom of this, and I'd like to thank all you viewers for sitting through us working out our interpersonal issues, but we've really gotten to the bottom of how it's our deep insecurity at looking like children that forces us to over ask for things, and then we end up looking like assholes. So I'd love to find the Goldilocks in the middle there, where we are neither children nor demanding jerks, but that's not what we're here to do today. We should welcome people officially to this show, shouldn't we?
You mean we should start the podcast / festival show after? Wow, I'm impressed. This is actually, even for us, a level of talking about ourselves before we start the show that's good for us.
It's banter, Andrew. They tune in for the fun banter. Podcast banter. People love banter. Just like when you see a band, how you love the stories that people tell between the songs.
This is exactly, I love when like a singer, for instance, is just a little too funny, and you're like, oh, we're doing this. Everyone loves stand-up comedy, I guess. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you this. So I did grow up in a Midwest college town. I guess if this is a heavily Urbana-Champaign audience, I'm not from one of the college towns that you like, but I grew up in Ann Arbor, so I feel like very nostalgic for the Midwest college town vibe. Which, again, we are basking in right now because we are in Urbana-Champaign. But the tiny amount of research I did involved...
I like that you're giving Urbana a little heft and saying her first before Champaign. That's not the common way to...
Is that how you're not supposed to do it? I guess it's because I'm looking at this University of Illinois.
I believe commonly it is Champaign-Urbana, but I'm not... Look, Urbana, she needs her time to shine. I'm here for it. I'll allow you to elevate her a little bit. Why not?
Well, I got one fact, which is just from the Google map, and it says, Research University with an Arboretum. And I know you love an Arboretum. Um, what? I guess we just gotta. We would have had coffee in an arboretum, and been like, shit. What are we gonna talk about? That's how we would have spent our morning on a normal festival day.
Andrew,
So,
I have to demand something right now. We have to say the name of this show.
no, it's on the fucking video. People know what they're here for.
People might have tuned in. They're streaming all kinds of stuff. They're watching all kinds of things. They have to know that that I'm not Ari Shapiro and you're not Alana Glazer. They need to know. They need to know what this show is. So, who are we? This is
Thank you.
Is This Racist? I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. The podcast, live kind of. I'm Tawny Newsome.
I'm Andrew T.
Yeah.
Thank you for logging in with us today. .com. That's the extent to what I have. I don't know. All right? Here's actually a real question.
Wait, we have to say what we do in the show.
Oh God, fine.
We have to say. We do this every episode in the normal thing. Just like knowing that people are looking at us has us thrown, I think.
Oh, yeah. I hate it. I hate looking at myself. This is the podcast where Tawny and I answer your questions about what's racist or not. Tawny and I are comedians. We're not experts, except we're also not white. So you know what? We got a little bit of something. We bring a little something to the table.
You've never said it that way before, but like I have to disclose that I'm half white. Like,
oh shit.
But I don't know that it matters for the point you're trying to make, but I was like, I have to disclose this or else people on the internet will be like, actually, tell me about my own heritage.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, we're just gonna leave all this in because this is a live ass show. No safety.
We're not cutting anything out. That's way too much effort on these nice people running the festival. We've already given them a technical challenge with our bullshit. We're gonna stand in our truth and own the bullshit we say. But yeah, so this is a weekly podcast, if you're not familiar with us at all, where we listen to voicemail questions about racism, things that people have said are racist, things that maybe they've done that they're worried or culturally appropriative or whatever. There's always a blackface for Halloween question every year for some reason. But yeah, it is inherently a comedy show. It's an entertainment show. You don't come here for the research. That you gotta do on your own time. You come here for takes and quips. And honestly, like the way I like to think of it, if someone is a black or brown person of color, marginalized person in general, that just needs a little bit of like catharsis to kind of hear maybe white people calling in, talking lightly about how they fucked up, or other people of color calling in and being like, hey, somebody always says this to me. Do you have any good retorts? This is meant to be a space where you can kind of live vicariously through either the people who call in or through us, or just like, just a cathartic space to talk about these things in a like somewhat comedic way. Sometimes the show does get heavy because the world gets bad, but our main goal is to have fun and be, I don't know, just provide perspective.
Yeah, we're just trying to have fun here in a world where that is straight up impossible.
Fun.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but a little about both of us, just again, if you don't know us at all. I'm an actor and a musician and a podcaster. I've been in some stuff. Andrew is a writer, a podcaster. I bet you could act. Let's call you an actor.
Ooh, wow. That's strong. Strong words that are untrue. Yeah, we'll say I've done stand-up. I'm more comfortable doing stand-up than I am acting, and I hate stand-up. So
all right.
I'm a writer and a microphone talker from time to time.
That's true.
Who knows? Do you think are people like browsing? Are people stumbling into this? Do you think, or do you think this is more of our fans situation? I'm curious.
I'm
this
curious
is where
too. It just occurred to me to like cover all the bases in case people have been listening to us for 11 minutes and being like, Who the fuck are these people and what are they talking about?
What is happening?
So that's my umbrella of just like, here's who we are and what we do.
Yeah. No, super
Andrew,
reasonable.
Andrew, I was gonna say that earlier. I was gonna say that I voice an animated show. I do a show called Star Trek Lower Decks, and lately people have been tweeting at me to get you on there as if I have any power. But I think people who are our fans are used to listening to our voices together, and now that I'm doing a voice thing alone, people are like, "Wait a minute, where's
That
that other guy? We need that other guy in there." So this is why I think you need to be an actor, at least a voice actor, so you can do the show with me.
Woo. Of course I would love to. However,
Again, I have no power to offer this, so please don't think this is a job.
And please, listeners and viewers, don't be tweeting CBS All Access demanding that Andrew T have a guest role as an alien who says "like" too much. I think is there a species in Star Trek where the aliens just sort of talk like they're 12?
Well, sort of the pack leads, but not really in canon, but there's some in the books, so we'll get you in there.
All right. I just need if you just have a rambling alien who doesn't really know what's happening at any given time. I'm your boy. I'm your boy.
I'll run it up the chain. And additionally, I would like to request a role in the show you write for, which is Mixed Dish on ABC. Because how are you going to have a show called Mixed Dish and not put your favorite mixed person in it?
I will tell you this for real. We've talked about this a little bit. Not you specifically, I will say, to cover my ass about the room. But the whole premise is that, like, we're like, oh, it's tough to have mixed people who are older than 10 in our show.
Oh,
because
right.
that requires a lot of explanation.
Because it's like kind of fish out of watery. Okay, well, this is too behind the curtain. This is too inside Hollywood nonsense. This is not what you tune in for. You tune in for anecdotes about water and breakfast wine. And I guess the racism. I guess you tune in for racism.
Is, everyone just write in on the chat. Just let us know where you're here for. Water, breakfast wine, racism. Just one,
casting
2, or 3.
News. The fourth one is casting news between you and I.
Mm-hmm. Just general what's up kind of shit. I was thinking though, one of my actual favorite things about doing festivals is that because our audience is sort of very dedicated and specific, but the name of our show is sort of inflammatory and I like to think very intriguing. It's always a real mix, like a very hard line of people who like have listened, know what they're getting into, and then usually between 1 and 15 people who are like, oh, this is not what I bargained for at all.
And then I like to use your joke when we do live shows is like, how many of you are here because you saw the sign and you're here for the wrong reasons?
Yeah.
Shout out to the racists.
Gotta be someone. If anyone logged in thinking, this was for the racists, welcome?
Sorry, but every stream counts.
We are sorry.
Thank you? No, we're
so
not sorry. You can find your racist. The whole internet is for you.
That's true. That's
You'll be
true.
fine.
This is like a little respite from your shit. Maybe you'll learn something. You probably won't.
So, we don't want to get too heavily into news, current events. I feel like that's not the live show vibe we normally bring. On the regular show, sometimes we talk about current things. But there was one story that popped up a couple of weeks ago that I just wanted to talk about because the reaction online to me was really interesting. And that is the story about how historically black colleges are being gifted or granted free coronavirus testing by some anonymous donor, some big, $15 million or something, some huge donor has donated to all the HBCUs so that students can ostensibly go back to school in the fall. Now? Is that now? Woof. And the reaction online was mixed, let's say. But the most interesting thing that I saw from a lot of black writers and comedians was references to Tuskegee, references to all kinds of historical trials and, testing, experimental testing that's been done on black Americans. And I think it's important to note that this isn't necessarily, this isn't testing a vaccine. That's not what the story was about. This is providing COVID tests, the ones that are available. I don't know if they're the same ones, but similar to the ones that are available to people like you and me when we go back to work. They're just providing them for free on these college campuses so that these college campuses can go back to work. What do we think about this? I'll say it.
That's that's so like tough because I think, Tuskegee being just like, I guess, the name brand version of the phenomenon, which is that like
it's the Kleenex
black people.
Yeah.
That's just the high watermark of like reasons why black people rightly don't trust or might not trust the medical system. But it's one of those things where it's like, I guess it's tough because I'm sort of one of those firm believers in science people who my first blush is like, things like Tuskegee are aberrations. That's the system not working because that's, lies and not the scientific method and racism baked into something. But the fact that it keeps happening so much feels then like, well, maybe that is the system and I'm naive for being like, that's the exception. Because it's also not the exception. You see the bias all around. The latest one I saw, it's a constant thing. Black women receive much less, much lower quality of healthcare. And really, there's no good explanation other than racism everywhere.
Yeah, and of course that ties back to, numerous people smarter than us have written at length about this if you want to learn more about it. But the cursory reason is because of slavery and because of literal slave auctions, black people, it's been ingrained in our collective consciousness as a country to think of black people as strong and stalwart and tough and able to endure pain. And so that lie has, trickled down into this generation, into every generation, where, occasionally medical professionals think that we can frankly handle more than we can. So when we tell them something is on the pain scale an 8 or something, mentally there's an internalized bias that just comes from living in this country. We all have them, that tells them, you're probably exaggerating it. I think you're fine. You look great. You're not even sweating. There's not a line on your face, ma'am. Like all of these things kind of tie in, but it's true. Even good stereotypes about how like black women are ageless, etc. While that in itself isn't a bad thing, it ties into this idea that we're like a little bit supernatural, or that we have better health, or that we're, more vibrant. I don't know. It's weird, but I feel broken down and old. So when I tell a doctor something hurts, I'm like, no, I wouldn't have come to you unless like things are bad right now.
Yeah. And I would say that's also one explanation for the disparity in care that's, I think, actually, though damning, like relatively like kind to the medical profession. Because it's also like, if you really believe that, then when a black woman says they're in a lot of pain, the other conclusion you could equally come to is, boy, they must be in a lot of pain if this entity that I deem subconsciously to be extra tough is saying there's pain. Because, to me, it's just like, the other way to look at it is like, it's just a sympathy issue. They're just like, they don't take as much sympathy because they don't relate to them as much. I guess I will say also, doctors ain't scientists. I got so many doctors in my family, and there's plenty of doctors who are creationists. There are plenty of doctors who are racists. Science should be dispassionate, but it isn't. It doesn't have to be. And medicine uses science, but isn't science.
What do we think about, I have been toying with the idea that, and again, these tests being given to HBCUs, from what I know, they are not experimental in any way. I believe they are the tested tests, the tried and true tests that the general public and that some companies and businesses are using. What do we think about the idea that The actual experiment is sending all these black people back to their college campuses in the fall, where they're not giving a bunch of free tests to like historically white colleges. I wish that was a thing. HWCUs, just like brown, you know, just a white ass college.
Every college is a historically white college.
Yeah, general population colleges. There's not maybe that encouragement, because this went out on like Howard's letterhead. This went out on official university letterhead. So it wasn't like, hey, there's going to be tests here if you want to come back. It was like, we're pleased to announce, like, the doors are opening a little bit. I don't know. Is there something to that the experiment is sending everybody back into crowded lecture halls in the fall? All the black people in this country?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing, like, and it's, you know, on the other hand, like, if the people running any given HBCU really believes in this to the point where they're willing to make it part of university policy, I suppose their opinion should have slightly more weight. But I would sort of say, you know, the history of medical experimentation on black folks in America is so heavy that, like, it's to me a little shocking that anyone proposing any sort of black only-ish or black focused medical care in 2020 message against that background. You have to know that, like, if you're going to do this thing, even if you're doing it for the right reasons, you just have to jump in front of it because you're working from, like, at the very least a PR hole. So you have to be, like, so transparent about who's funding this, why, who they are, in ways that, like, you know, you have to go above and beyond because, again, it's not your fault, but all of history happened, so you can't ignore it.
And to be fair, they are, you know, I'm skimming over the details that you're talking about, but Testing for America is a new nonprofit. You can click on their website and read about them. So they are providing some information. I'm sure it's not to the level that you're saying. But what you're saying is so true. Not, like, take away the medical creepiness of it. If somebody was like, free smoothies, only for black people, I would be like, what the fuck is in those smoothies, though?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going there.
Yeah. If the first, you know, 97% of the history of this country only for black people meant bad or death, it's probably also basically still the same. But you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you can... I mean, you can, I suppose. But to me, it seems wild that you could not recognize that that's what you're up against. And that's where you got to start. Just know. Yeah. You know, assume that everyone thinks it's racist because anyone rational should. And even if that's unfair or that rankles you, just know that's how people are going to take it, and you can't fight reality.
Yeah. I can see how it gets tangled, though, because the way that COVID-19 has disproportionately affected black and indigenous communities, I can see where the well-intentioned donor, this anonymous donor, is saying, oh, yeah, well, we'll give free testing to the HBCUs. That's a way to course correct this. But again, without the weight of history in this country, and we're not even talking about globally, like the stories about testing birth control methods on women in Africa are lengthy and terrifying. So it's weird. It made me feel weird. If you're an HBCU student and you're planning to go back to school in the fall and this makes you feel safe, go with your creator, and I wish you luck. The reaction online was just a bit wild. Andrew, is there any other current happenings that you wanted to talk about, or should we launch into a voicemail?
I think let's let the crowd decide.
That was so dumb.
Oh,
I can't believe we did that.
I can't believe you are. Here's what I'm realizing as someone who has no improv training but now has to be on camera, and you know, in a writer's room, people will just say "fuck you" when you do a bit that dumb. Tawny will just, you know, go for it because
there's something in me that has to join. Like, I have to yes and it, but then I also have to judge it afterwards. So I live in a dualistic hell, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. This is, but for real, we should just do a voicemail.
Okay. All right. So we're going to pull up our cool graphic so that you guys see what we are hearing. How about that?
This definitely works. Everyone's having a great time.
Here we go.
Hey y'all, I know that this is racist, but I'm just really confused of what I should say in a situation that I just had. I work in an office, and I had a coworker who's an older white woman come into my office, and we were talking about BLM, which she views very positively, but she started saying something to me that was like, I just know, this is a quote, I just know in a past life that I was black, and so I really respect the black community. And she was like, I didn't really probe into it, but I feel like I should have said something. And she went on to say that she knows that she's black because her favorite president is Abe Lincoln.
What?
What am I supposed to say? I obviously, no matter what, I'm gonna make this person uncomfortable. Obviously, they're comfortable enough to say that to me, so I think it's probably worth telling them that they maybe should reassess. Thanks.
Well.
No. Let me go on record with just no. First of all, you're worried about making this woman uncomfortable. First of all, thank you, caller. We thank all of our callers. How long was that? 1:07. Andrew always yells at people for keeping stuff to keep stuff to a minute.
Perfect.
So thank you.
And also very nicely wild. Just the perfect blend of lunacy and a real question.
It took us a lot of places. It got a reaction out of me. I famously don't listen to the voicemails before we record them. I like to keep it fresh, and I'm lazy. But you're worried about making this person uncomfortable. She made you uncomfortable she made all of us uncomfortable. All the people virtually viewing. Let me hear you in Champaign-Urbana, in Stockholm, in wherever you are. Everyone is uncomfortable right now. She deserves a taste of that.
Just bit my fingers off. That is the worst shit I've ever heard.
Do we unpack? Where do we start to unpack this? Where do we begin? So this woman, I just empathize so much with black people. Already, if this was to me, I'd be like, what's gonna happen next? That's not a normal thing for anyone to say. I don't care what color you are or what you think you were to past life. That sentence is wild. You can just feel things. I wonder if people know they can just feel things and demonstrate things through their actions and not have to say, man, I don't know, I just really, I connect with Chinese people. I really just believe in them and think about them all the time. It's weird.
I mean, I guess the most charitable version of this is this woman's got a very severe case of sort of main character syndrome, and everything simply must be about her.
Sure.
So when Black Lives Matter is happening, it needs to be about you, and the best way that this woman has to make it about her is that she was black in a previous life. Now my question is, if she knows that she's black or was black in a previous life because Lincoln is her favorite president, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna accept the given parameters of the experiment here. We're gonna take her at her, all things being true or whatever. Okay.
I guess I'm just what? For anyone who believes in past life, what does that past life pass on to you in the present? Because it certainly didn't pass on enough empathy to be well, in this life I'm a white person, so maybe I should realize how fucked up that looks. If your past black self could see you now, wouldn't they be shut the fuck up?
Your past black self. Oh my god. I mean, yeah, also, like, I don't know what I believe about past lives. I understand that some people, like, very much believe in it and talk about it very freely. And I don't mean to, like, judge that, but you gotta, like, edit what you're gonna talk about. Like, yeah. And also, why that president? And why did your past life tell you who their favorite president was? If I have a life after this, I'm not going to be like, okay, so here's my favorite president. Here's my favorite brand of encyclopedia. Here's my favorite, like, what is that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's a little bit, I'm like, what's with the selective information getting passed on from the past? Like,
Yeah.
because your black self didn't pass on what it's like to be black.
We have to just keep saying past black self. Your past black self did teach you how
Past
to
black
braid
self.
hair. Did not
Yeah.
teach you how to not talk about black shit in a weird way in front of white people.
Yeah. So, not great, past black self. Not great. You gotta fucking get your shit together from your fucking soul time machine and talk to yourself, your present white self, and fix your fucking shit.
I tried to bring a live energy by having a beverage. I always have a beverage on stage. I thought, oh, that'll be fun. I'll be drinking. But I cannot. I'm going to ruin this shirt. Oh, past black self. Past black self.
I was going to eat a hot dog on camera, and I was like, nah, I can't do that. I'm going to be honest, that's all I want to do in Illinois. Last time we were in Chicago, all I spent my time trying to do was get a hot dog.
You wanted that Home Depot hot dog.
Yeah, didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. We had a slammed weekend. Champagne, do y'all have hot dogs in your Home Depot? Let us know. Hit us up at Yo Is This Racist on Twitter.
Yep.
That's what
Send
we
us a
wanna know
picture
about.
of the hot dog, of the parking lot hot dog. Don't endanger yourself to get one, but
No. I was gonna say they could just tell us, but yeah, a visual would be nice. A picture from the internet is fine. So
just
what do we?
send me
This
a
person,
big old hot dog.
this person wants to know what to say in a situation like this. I hope this never comes up again for you and everyone in your workplace. But if it does,
I know, at work, of all things, at
there's
work.
so much. This minute and 7 seconds, there's so much at work. Also, where do you work? Are you in person? Was this over Zoom? I have questions.
Oh man, on Zoom is amazing because that means not only did this woman have whatever like lunatic ideas, she made, all her coworkers listen. That's the best part about Zoom. Everything you say it to everybody.
You say it to everyone. Even the chat, the private chats you're doing, public service announcement. You know those private chats where you think you're talking to your little work wife or whatever and you're just like ripping on the boss? The host of the meeting gets a transcript of all that shit at the end.
That's the best.
So
That's the best.
be
I love
careful.
we actually at work shut down the chat function so no one would accidentally use it.
Good. Just
We
text
got-
each other.
Yeah. Just if you want to talk shit, we're all learning. Obviously, by far the most important part of working anywhere is secretly talking shit with your coworkers. And
Clearly.
you just got to do it on text. Do it on text. Just do it on text. No, go to their house and yell at them through their window. That's how
Yell
you
them
do
through
it.
their window. Caller, I think the next time this person says this, a good retort is something like, I don't need to have been a person in order to have empathy for them.
That's one suggestion. And then, the other option is just 15 minutes about your past black self talking shit. So you got options, caller. That's the important thing. We help you guaranteed. Anyone listening to this, we will fix racism. There's
Yeah,
no
what are you-
chance
What are you
there
doing?
will not be any more no racism. Yes.
We can't make that claim. We can't even try to make that claim.
Yeah. We've done a I think objectively, since this podcast has been going on, racism has gotten much worse.
Yeah. Are we the problem? Who
Can't we-
knows?
We definitely might be. Should we do another one of these mofos?
I think we should. We're going to pull up that handy graphic that you love. You're going to get it. And we're going to listen to, waiting for it to load, this voicemail.
Hey, I'm assuming this is going to be on a bonus episode, but I really need some, Joey Cliff smart advice here. I am a Filipino they-them construction worker, and about a year ago, I called in because a strange white man approached me on a work site and started speaking very bad Spanish, assuming I was some kind of Latinx. I work for that guy now. It is predictably not awesome. However, the field I work in is historic window restoration. This is literally the only company in town I can work for right now. So I need to figure out how to either advocate for myself in the situation or just bite the bullet and leave the state. Love you guys. Looking forward to the advice. Bye.
Oh, man.
Woo!
Wow. Okay, so we went from a question that is bonkers and wild, and where there's no helping that person because this lady's talking about ghosts. She's talking about having a black ghost who loves Abe Lincoln in her past. To a question that is very real world and needs actual help. I liked that she shouted out our kind of yo correspondent, our friend Joey Cliff, frequent guest and friend who comes on a lot. He's a fantastic writer and comedian in Los Angeles. And I see why you want his help, because he's very smart with these types of things. I hope we can do you some justice a little bit.
Woo! Can we? I mean, at the heart of this, I was thinking about especially the earlier jobs I've had in my life. Because there's a real thing of finding the line between when you simply have no power and what you can do about that. And I mean, I am also currently in a job where I have very little power. I'm lucky that, my bosses and coworkers are all wonderful, but that's not a guarantee. And there's a limit to what you can do. So to the caller, they are stuck in a very, very, very specific situation. Historic window restoration. And so I feel and this probably goes counter to the spirit of a lot of the things we've said before, but the reality is, truly, if you're that fucking stuck, and again, I think you gotta be, I would imagine, then there's also this world where you don't have to love your coworkers. I don't know. Yeah. Is that fucking dark? I mean, I guess okay, here's the revolutionary thing is pretending that your coworkers need to be a family and you need to like them is how the fucking bosses get you. It's just one piece that they use to hold us down. So fuck everyone at your work always. Fuck all your coworkers.
Yeah,
and
Comrade
that's
Andrew.
Okay. I don't know. This is me looking. I'm reaching. What do you think?
I get it. Before the caller spoke about the specific nature of the work, I was going to tell them to, find a new job. You don't need to work for that guy, blah, blah, blah. But I guess I a little bit know what that's like, just being an actor, because you can't choose your bosses, really. You're trying to get jobs and you're trying to hustle, and then whoops, you find out the director's a bigot or a sexist. Are you going to quit the job? Is there going to be another job comparable enough to it waiting for you? Most often not for us. I think actors are 50 to 1 in terms of jobs. There are 50 actors available and willing to take any one job. I mean, and it's worse now, obviously, because no one can make anything really. But I wonder if, we didn't get any information about other interactions that they've had with the boss. I wonder if there's anything in that boss's nature that suggests that they might be open to a frank conversation. I feel like we know the answer to that. Like, probably
Yeah.
not. But, just because we don't have the info, I'm like, if there is any benefit of any doubt, if there's a way to say, hey, I'm going to be working with you and I want this to go smoothly, we got to talk about you just walking up and trying to speak Spanish to me. And
Yeah.
whatever your tactics are for that, as people of color, as marginalized people, we have come up with tactics. Mine is obviously humor. Mine is obviously like lightening the mood and trying to make a joke out of it. If that's not for you, I'm also a big fan of like short sentences and leaving a lot of kind of silence and letting them sort of not hang, but I mean, sometimes, yeah, you let them kind of twist themselves up with their own guilt, and you just kind of hold the power and just write out what you're going to say, write out the questions you're going to ask. I like using questions a lot as opposed to, when you did this to me, I like saying, hey, why did you come up and speak Spanish to me the first day we met? And then just let them, and like kind of keeping it short and focused for yourself can help you maybe not fall into the emotion that you're rightfully feeling about it.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
I will say the times when I see this type of dynamic, because it's also like construction, there's definitely a culture of machismo and all that wrapped up in there. And a tactic I see that works enough is sort of the like ball busting, everyone gets it kind of tactic. Like, it's not my favorite. I think it draws pretty severe false equivalencies. You can call him, just like make a white joke back at him and get a laugh all around, potentially. But, and I feel like that's the one that that's a tactic you see most prevalently. But, and I'm sure the caller's aware, but it's one of those things where you're like, that's also how bigots end up being like, oh, Lewis at my work, we're equal opportunity offenders. Everyone's busting balls equally. I don't mean it. I'm not racist for doing racist thing. So, look, it's not like don't do it, but that's sort of the pitfall of that. It's like normalizing and drawing a false equivalency between, bullshit ribbing aimed at white people and white people doing fucking anything else. I don't know. Because I think people sometimes call into us and be like, what's a good retort? You guys are like, people of color who are like good at comedy. Like, there's probably some line you can just shoot right back at them that'll work. And the reality is like, nothing really works. Comedy is a coping mechanism, but comedy is not going to fix racism.
Yeah, truly, like, the only thing that could work is a frank conversation. And that might not be possible for you. That might not be wise for your job. Like, I'm not recommending that if you're like, no, that's not a good idea. But, yeah, and if it's just absolutely not an option for you, I default to Andrew's, you don't have to be friends with your boss. You can just... We've all worked for some racists, whether we knew it or not.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's all we're going to say.
Good.
Okay,
Let's do one more.
Okay, I'm going to queue up this next voicemail here. Oh, I love the title. Oh, boy. Can't wait for everyone to hear this. Buffering. Here we go.
Hi, Tawny and Andrew. I'm an Iranian American girl, and I have a friend who's also Iranian American with a pretty unfortunate name. It's spelled Negar, pronounced Negar. Her family immigrated to the United States pretty recently before she was born, so it doesn't seem that they had the cultural context of that not being a good name in the United States. But my question is her name racist, or would it be racist for her to have to go by something else just because of America's fucked up, and that's really not Iran's problem? Thanks.
Oh, golly. Is her name racist? I think we can confidently say no. It's it's culturally unfortunate in America, but Yeah, it's like the caller said, that's not Iran's problem. That's not this family's problem. Certainly not her friend's problem.
Yeah. I would say this one is like specifically like because, we both live most of the time in Southern California around a decent population of Iranians. And the few and the Nagars that I know, it isn't a problem, but maybe that's because people are like more used to it and more sensitive with the pronunciation. Mm-hmm. I guess it's in the A. Pronouncing the first syllable right really gets you a lot of mileage, whatever.
Yeah.
Joke, ha ha. But like the reality is it's not like that much of a problem, I think. But maybe I'm being very, very ignorant. I don't know.
It sounds like in your circle, in the circle that you know these people in, it's not a problem. But I'm sure they have stories from growing up, or certainly anyone who lives in a part of this country where there's not a large Iranian population.
Yeah.
I bet it's a
hard.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is sort of like a rock and a hard place of like American racism versus other American racism. Mm-hmm. Like assuming America has to be the cultural capital of the world, dominant culture of the planet, mixed with old-fashioned American racism, and which wins out. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this question is actually there's a very similar issue with Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and it actually was in the sort of local California news, but there's a professor at USC who's like a business professor, and in Chinese, in Mandarin, the phrase for that, 那个, or 那个, when you say it very quickly, and then sometimes Chinese folks use it as an or an or a like. So it's a word that gets said a lot. And when you say it sort of sufficiently fast, it does sort of sound like the N-word for sure. But this white professor, used it as like an example on like a Zoom lecture. And the black students were like, what the fuck? But then
was the professor, was the professor using it as an example for this exact example, like what we're doing right now, like talking about it as it sounds like the N-word?
No.
Oh. Okay.
So that's sort of the issue, is like, as I understand it, it was just like loosely in like, it didn't specifically address that issue. And I guess he just said the phrase a lot. He's also a white English-speaking American, so his Chinese accent, I didn't hear it, but I feel confident that it was not correct. So there's sort of the underlying insinuation of like, how fucking ignorant could you really be? That's the example you pick. And then it starts to feel intentional. But then the Chinese students were like, no, it's ridiculous that this guy has to step down. This is racist against Chinese folks. I always get in trouble with the Asian community writ large and say I don't side with the Chinese students on this one. Like, yeah.
No, I just think it's funny that, I mean, we can't account for words in other languages that sound like words that we have, and when I say we, I'm speaking as my white self, that white people in this country have turned into hate words. Like, white people created these hate words in this country. So for other countries and cultures to have to adapt to that when they are here or when they're talking to English-speaking Americans is unfortunate, but it is at times necessary to avoid things like this. Now, this is this person's name.
Yeah.
This is their birth name. I couldn't tell this person to change their name, but I am like, things are going to be weird in certain areas,
Yeah.
Or people mishear you and are like,
think,
wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Probably the unfair reality is it would be best for this person's life to have like a nickname or something. But that doesn't make it right. I would just say that probably like functionally will make things best for them in the United States. right now. You know, because it kind of goes
like
both ways.
Ninja? Maybe she should go by Ninja.
I know.
Sorry.
All that shit is so
sorry.
weak. And it's a capitulation to the racists is one way to look at it, and it's, you know, acknowledgement of reality is the other way to look at it. You know, yeah, I think that's sort of like the answer is that, like, this is obviously racist in every conceivable direction of, you know, American society to, you know, have created this, but no racist is going to give a fuck. And so I guess what I will say is getting into a long fight with a black person about it probably also isn't that productive.
Yeah,
Or
so
is
I
it?
guess.
I don't know.
Well, I'm just gonna say, you know, and the person whose name this is not the one who called in.
Yeah.
So if this is your name, you have to, or something like it, or another name that evokes similar, you know, issues. You have to decide what you are willing to kind of deal with and fight for, unfortunately. Like, are you going to fight for your cultural right to be called by your correct name? And are you just going to insist on the correct pronunciation and not tolerate anyone making jokes or looking at you sideways about it or not wanting to use your name properly because they're uncomfortable? Like, are you going to insist that people use your name? Or do you live somewhere where that is just exhausting and no one gets it and you are just bombarded and every day and every time you go to rent a car, it's a whole thing? Like, do you want to make things easier on yourself and just have a nickname? Like, that's a personal choice, and both are super valid. It's really about your energy just walking through the world.
I mean, there's probably a world where the functional answer is both. Like, you do both things at different times because we live in reality. And look, it's not okay, but sometimes you just do what you got to do to get by. I thought this was going to be a funny one for some reason when I was selecting this. I don't know why. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a real asshole.
You know how many times we think it's going to be a funny one, and it's really just because in the voicemail inbox it's come after a slew of horrifying ones, just depressing, horrible ones, and then we're like, here's a fun one.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
you know
it.
how many times I've been Tammy? This is not the same, but like when people are just like, Tammy, and I'm like, yeah, like, I don't care. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. But then that's also so depressing because it's just like, yeah, you've given up trying to fix racists.
Is it
Which I guess is...
Or is it more depressing for me to be like, no, it's actually Tawny? And then they're like, how do you spell that? Tawny? Oh, what is that? Well, it's a color, but my mom named me after a news anchor in San Diego at the time. And I just slowly like melt into the floor.
Yeah. They're equal.
They're both depressing.
Everything's, yeah. But I guess maybe that's where the power is like, to the extent that you know that you're in a no-win situation, you know, I guess I would encourage, you know, though it's, you know, depressing, knowing that when other people mishear you, they're not off base. This is just a situation where, like, everything is bad. So, like, you know, to the extent that you're able to be sensitive to other people's, like, honest reactions, calibrated against your own honest reactions, like, do that. Woo!
Woo!
Damn. We're deep in it.
This has been great. I've had a festival beverage the whole time. You have booze behind you. Look at this party atmosphere. This has been a great time.
We're partying hard. I know. Oh, man.
I do want to
Where's
take
the
a minute
after
and
party?
just shout out the festival in general, though. First of all, what a cool idea. This would not have been possible, even pandemic aside, this wouldn't have been possible for us to attend because of our work schedules. Well, I guess we don't know because who knows where we would have been working. But so this is really cool what they've done, and the fact that it's been free for everyone is very cool. So I just wanted to encourage people to check out their donate link because they have very good charities and organizations that they are asking people to donate to. The NAACP, an organization that's close to my heart, the National Independent Venue Association. Did I say that right? NIVA.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is been at the forefront of the Save Our Stages movement, which is trying to, keep all these venues open where we normally go see bands and go see comedy and live podcasts. These venues are, a lot of them live month to month, and a lot of them have been in debt because music and live performance is hard and nearly impossible to make a living at as an artist. It's not great as a venue person either. So this act, it's a great organization that's trying to address that in this pandemic when no one can go out. So, I just wanted to thank the festival for thinking of this, because this has been very cool.
Yeah, that's, truly, all joking aside, this is like, I've never done anything like this. It's always fun to talk to Tawny. It's fun to connect with people. It's fun to do a little performance, let people see, collection of booze.
Yeah, no one else in a live show has ever seen inside of Andrew's home or inside of this weird circle decorated hotel that I'm in. This is not my art or my home.
I like it. It is like the most focused group art you could have. It's like, what's technically art, but not technically wallpaper.
What does everyone think is cool? Circles? Hell yeah.
Lot of circles. Everyone loves that shit. Is it too colorful?
Well,
let's take a chance. We're artists.
We're gonna go nuts. We're gonna gamble. I guess all that's left that we have to tell you is just like where to find us, where to follow us. Our preferred method of communication. Well, first of all, the show comes out every Wednesday. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever thingy you use. We're on there. At Yo Is This Racist on Twitter and Instagram if you want to hit us up and chat with us about racism. That's where you go for that. If you want to chat with us about other shit, non-racism, I welcome any non-racism tweets. You can hit me at Trondy Newman, and he's Andrew T.
Spelled all caps. Doesn't matter,
and if you
but
wanna,
it does,
if you want to be on the show, you can call in.
Oh, yeah. 323-389-7223. That's 323-389-RACE. Leave your voicemails. Woo! You might hear yourself someday.
I'm sure everyone's doing this bit, but I can't resist. You guys have been a great audience.
You've been
just
so
a really
wonderful.
Fantastic crowd. Like
Give
one of
it
the
up.
best, most respectful crowds that we've had. Just no interruptions. Everyone
Hit
stayed
the
in their seats.
Hit the little Zoom applause icon, everybody. We're basking in it. We're loving it. We love it so, so much. But that's it. Be safe.
The best. Yeah.
Be safe, please. Bye.
Bye.
Once came across a blind dinosaur. We foresaw what went and came before us. Do you even think he saw us? But like Taurus, I'm relentlessly pacing, chasing a deeper view. Socially conditioned, positioned without a right to choose. Right to choose. If I had a right, I'd choose left. No quest. I've been ready when you're